listeners.
There you go. All right, everyone, most millennials walk around with a computer in their pocket. We all know that. And now that computer, well, it could also be a therapist. Talkspace is an online therapy service that enables users to communicate with a therapist as seamlessly as they send text messages with their friends. Oren Frank is the co-founder of the therapy app, and he joins us live here today. Oren, it is wonderful to have you here.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Okay, so I think there's a big question to this overall conversation when it comes to like barriers of entry. So what are the barriers to entry with therapy, and how does Talkspace address a lot of those issues? Because this is a little bit of a stigmatized world.
True. So stigma is definitely a large barrier. Still 2017, in the United States, but still many people are very ashamed. Second one is cost. Extremely expensive. You should take the two train, go to the Upper West Side and see a therapist. It's going to be like $300-400 an hour.
Wow.
And last but not least is the scheduling, finding the time, making the phone calls, etc., etc. So this is how we crafted Talkspace, basically to overcome those entry barriers.
Right. Over 70% of your clients have never been to therapy, and that's a number you say you're very proud of.
Yes.
Why is that? Why do you think this is an easy way for people who have never had therapy to get into it?
The real answer is we love therapy. We think it's a wonderful profession. It's extremely helpful, and our vision was essentially therapy for all. It's like this is not the ideal, location, but I would say that this is therapy for the 99% as opposed to the 1%. This is how we started Talkspace, and that's what we set out to do. That's basically the purpose.
Right.
You launched out in 2012.
Right.
I'm fascinated with what those first, let's say, 6 months of operation were like. Was it difficult to get the message out and to convince people to try a digital app-focused approach to this, as opposed to some of the more contemporary or more popular routes of...
True, that's a very good observation. So we had some resistance, mostly from the supply side, from the therapist, the more, I would say, traditional. It's a very traditional occupation. It's 150 years old, it changed very little. Started in Vienna, late 1800s, where you took a carriage through the snow once a week to see someone for an hour. Didn't change that much. So it was tough in the beginning, but we currently see that our flavor of therapy, which is the accessible and the comfortable one, online therapy, is really taking good traction. There's a lot of discussion, there's a lot of mentions. People seem to understand that this is a much more, easy way to actually try it. At least try it. It may not be good for you, but give it a try.
Well, in the last 5 years, I think you've seen acceleration happen the most in the last couple of months since President Trump was elected. You say to our producers that growth has been 70 to 80% faster than you expected, and a lot of that growth coming from minority populations, women, LGBT, Muslims. Do you think this is a surprise?
Personally not, from my point of view on the world, but it's a sad story. Despite us being able to help so many people, it basically also means that that story, the election, and especially the inauguration, was a really, really strong peak point. Triggered a lot of people, and people are concerned about their future. Women are concerned about their rights, minorities are concerned about, immigrants are concerned about being, sent away.
Right, so you're saying the inauguration was kind of a peak point. Therapy is really you talk about your personal issues and to somebody very privately. These are bigger macro issues, so is that kind of different from what somebody might go to a therapist for when it's something about their childhood or their past or issues like that?
True, but then again, this issue, which is very emotional and very powerful and very important, triggers your predetermination. And if I suffered from anxiety in the past, and all of a sudden I see this person running the United States and I'm not entirely happy with the whole thing, then it will come back in big time, and that's exactly what we saw.
You could draw an actual correlation to, to number of downloads or user engagement to the modern state of our politics?
Messages?
Or are you just seeing, or could it be where this has just been a very successful 6 months, and it just so happens that Donald Trump is president of the United States?
So we can draw a direct correlation and relationship, and a very strong statistical one with it, because we track why people are coming, what they are complaining about, what are the issues, and we have what really is interesting about our model, in my opinion, is that you add big data and machine learning to an extremely traditional and wonderful profession. You get some very interesting insights by doing that.
Yeah, and so of course, a lot of this is driven by your data. You can see the number of downloads, the messages that are increasing, but also you can see the types of content that people are talking about. Is that data secure?
It's extremely secure. That's the thing that we are most focused about. We are a tech company that is using banking-grade encryption and security protocols. We're HIPAA compliant, which is the way healthcare services are needed to behave despite us being a technology company. And whenever we have to have access to the content itself, we actually de-identify it completely. So listen, nothing in life is 100% secure, but we work very hard at getting there. And I think, you know, it's an extremely, I would say, diligent level of security that we apply today.
So we've talked heavily about the user engagement side of things. I'm pretty fascinated with the therapist side of things. How are they coming to the table? Are they just essentially looking for either like extra income or extra practices at performing their craft to help other people, or do you really have to go out and aggressively recruit talent for this platform?
So we did not recruit a single therapist. They all came our way or word of mouth.
You've never recruited?
They came to us, really.
Wow. Okay.
I would say, except for the very early beginning that you mentioned before. Right. The thing is, I think therapists are very positive, they're very helpful. They were drawn to this profession by their own life experiences. And I think we offer them a very interesting modality and a platform that allows them to understand far better what they do well and how to improve it. And also a variety. If you think about a therapist on that Upper West Side, he sees the same people day and day over, you know. When you work on an online platform, you have access to such an interesting variety of people, conditions, stories. They love it. Not to mention the fact that they can work from home at night or from Starbucks, you know?
Right. All right, last quick question. The biggest issues people come to the platform for?
Oh, big time. Depression and anxiety, those are the 80%. It could be covered as a relationship issue or a life event or, God forbid, grief, but those are the underlying issues, and they're a disease of the Western world. Right. And we are learning how to try and help them more.
Maybe the same challenges that bring people to that office on the Upper West Side.
Absolutely.
Right, you probably need more help in a more immediate way if you have anxiety.
Exactly.
All right, very, very cool stuff there.
All right, Oren Frank, co-founder of Talkspace, join us live. Thanks a lot, Oren.
Thanks for having
good
me.
Stuff.
Thank you.
Appreciate having you.
Thank you. Okay, everyone, coming up, we'll get a quick check on the markets and talk to one of our friends here on the